Hi, I'm Alana Wapniarski in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm going to go through a typical recording signal flow, and I'm going to use what I have, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what other equipment might be a little better than what I'm going to show you, but it's going to sort of amount to a how to record really simply at home with fairly inexpensive equipment. And it's going to focus on vocal recording. So the first thing to have is a computer, and this is mine, a MacBook, really simple with GarageBand on it. There's also Live Ableton on here. You could use any number of programs. Beyond having your software, a microphone. This is mine, a dynamic microphone. It's a Sennheiser E935 is my favorite, but for recording at home, what might be better to consider is having a condenser microphone. And that's because a condenser mic will pick up, and here's an example of one picture. This will pick up more of the fine details, all of the sound that's going on. It's quite delicate, so this is not meant for live recording. Or sorry, this is meant for live recording. It's not really meant for stage performance, is what I'm trying to say. This screen up here is a pop screen, so it takes out all the p sounds or the really harsh S sounds. This piece here gives it some sort of like a shock absorber. It's so sensitive that if there's something walking around or that kind of thing, this microphone would pick that up. So this is meant to be used in a quiet environment. You don't want somebody in the kitchen, cooking dinner, that kind of thing, while you're trying to record. To explain cables just a little bit further, if you were going to record an instrument at the same time, like a guitar, this would be the cable you would use, and you'll notice that on both ends it's the same, and this is the TS cable, or 1/4 inch. This is also what was on that first cable I showed you that had this on it, the XLR on one end and 1/4 inch on the other. This would be appropriate for guitar or bass, and you would plug it into the instrument and then into your digital converter or into an amplifier. This is a TRS converter. You can get a cable that has this end on it, and it looks pretty similar to the one that I just had at the TS cable, or sorry, the TR cable, but it is not the same. You'll notice that, oh, it was a little bit broken there, push it back in. It has these two bands here plus the head, and the other one only has the one band on it. So they are not the same thing. You would use this for headphones, and there's also the mini version, which I can show you. Looks like this. So this adapter fits directly onto the mini. There's the XLR input right there, instrument right here, volume knob. If you were going to listen through headphones as a monitor, you could do that right there. Back to over here. This button here is if you need phantom power, you would push this button in where it is right now. If you don't need it, you can pull it out. Phantom power would be used for that condenser mic that I mentioned before. Let's look at the back of the box. So if you were going to monitor through speakers, then these two would be what you would plug in for your speakers. This is the line out to the computer. So this one uses, this box, the Focusrite, uses USB 2. Some other direct input boxes or digital or analog to digital converters use FireWire, so it's whatever that box, your box needs. Okay, so I plugged everything in, and I'm going to give you the walkthrough of everything cabled up. So the microphone we started with, I plugged in the XLR cable, and then just following the cable, plugged into the XLR input on the Focusrite, the analog to digital converter box. Because my microphone is not a condenser mic, I don't need to have phantom power, but if you did need it, you could turn it on here, and you can see that button lights up. I'm going to turn it back off. Over here, I'm pretty happy with, the volume. I'm not actually going to be recording anything right now, but you can see that I've plugged in my USB, and that's where actually all this light's coming from. This box itself doesn't require outside power sources. The power comes through USB. So we're plugged in to the computer, and you can see that back here. This plugged in right here, and then into the laptop over here. And then I've pulled out GarageBand, and if I speak into my microphone, I'm not actually recording, but you can see that that green monitor line, the levels are moving as I speak. So I know that it's running through the my digital analog box, and it's being converted from analog, which is me speaking, affecting sound waves going through the air, which is putting sound, like air pressure basically, onto my microphone. And then my microphone is converting that into voltage variations, which is heading straight through the cable, the XLR cable that we spoke about, and that runs on voltage. So there's electrical pulses basically going through that cable. This box is converting everything from voltage into digital, which is ones and zeros that the computer can understand. So it's converting it into bits, which goes into here, and the computer is understanding the bits, and that's what's going to show up over here. The last thing I wanted to talk about was not bit rates. That's, I think, more advanced than I wanted to get into today, but the last thing is how to monitor or how to hear yourself as you're trying to record. We saw on the box itself there was an earphone piece that you can plug into right there, and speakers. And if you monitor yourself directly through this Focusrite box, you won't have a problem with latency. And latency is kind of like a delay, like you say something and then maybe half a second, or a quarter of a second, or even a second or 2 seconds later, you actually hear that sound bouncing back at you. You hear yourself in real time. If you were to try to monitor yourself through the computer, you may experience latency, or you almost certainly will. And that's a problem that I ran into, and it's one of the reasons that I'm taking this course, is to learn how to do this better. And this course is, this assignment is the first assignment for the Introduction to Music Production through the Berklee College of Music. And this is the end of my assignment 1.